Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto x Lute x Sera x Emily? Part 2. If you want more awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Land. Verasika Mayday all flung herself down on the asphalt with a cry of absolute bliss and promptly began making sweet, sweet love to it. Sweet terra firma. She kissed the ground with a hysteric laugh, all but sprawling herself across it, uncaring of how she looked while she wriggled and squirmed. Come to mama! I'll never forsake you, Agayan. You alright there? Heat flooded her face. Alright? No, she was not. She was the opposite of alright. Springing to her feet, the Hellborn instantly stopped what she was doing and whirled to face her savior. You jerk! She thumped his chest with a furious fist, over and over again. Do you have any idea how fast you were flying? I almost suffocated back there. Really? Naruto thumbed his chin. I wasn't flying all that fast. Verasika flung up her arms. In what world is that not fast? His head tilted, mildly perplexed. Mine? Had he been holding back? Exasperated and at her wit's end, she did something foolish and she lashed out. Her tail cracked out at his face like a whip, only to be caught just short of his eyes. Her own bulged, recalling exactly what happened the last time he grabbed her tail. A pitiful squeak fled from her lips. You wouldn't dare! There it was, the gauntlet thrown at his feet. Naruto wouldn't, she knew. Sure, he could fight and crush and kill, but at the end of the day he was an angel. Goody two-shoes, that sort of thing. He'd probably let right go of her again, just like he had the last time, and she would tease him to high heaven about it. Victory was hers. She stepped closer and laid a hand on his chest. The smirk that followed was just a cherry on top. Be a good boy and let go now, would you kindly? Errors were made. She realized at the moment his face collapsed into a severe scowl. Since when are you the boss of me? Naturally, she had to rise to that challenge. Buddy, you might be an angel, but you're soft. A blonde brow rose as he growled at her. Is that so? In response, he pinched the tip of her tail between his thumb and forefinger, deliberately rubbing both together in a way that created delicious friction. That felt good. Verasika's legs all but buckled beneath her, leaving her to crumple at his feet in a magnificent moaning mess, smoldering stars bursting behind her eyes. Naruto held onto her tail like a leash and stoically stared at the sky, refusing to give her the satisfaction of his gaze. What have we learned? Like the hell she was gonna give in that easily. That you like seeing me on my kneesies. Her voice peaked into a pleasured whine as he pinched her tail again, leaving her in a daze. Nice try. She rasped a laugh, spying the flush on his whiskered cheeks despite his adamant refusal to look at her. It'll take more than that me say sorry. Stupid sensitive tail. It had been ages since someone made her their bitch. She kinda liked it. Are you done? She flipped him off. Bite me, you whiskey on the rocks. He made an annoyed noise as she taunted him and squeezed again, causing her to arch her back, eyes rolling in her head. Why the long face, she crooned, if you wanna bang me that badly, you just had to say so. Another wave hit, leaving her wasted and gasping for air, forcing her to look up at him. Naruto finally met her gaze, and when he did, he looked terrifying, eyes gleaming ghastly gold, all 10 of his wings spread wide behind him, dim light from above catching in his glowing hair, casting his face into shadow. Who said demons were the scariest things down here? Not even the overlords could possibly hold a candle to him. He loomed large over her like a weapon of war, holy wrath ready to come crashing down on her head. How easily he might cut through her if she pissed him off. Hot. Much to her annoyance, he released her tail. Ah, she pouted, why'd you stop? I thought you were torture me? He scowled at her. This clearly isn't a punishment for you. You're enjoying it too much. Boo! Hisses. He'd caught on. A blonde brow rose in silent challenge, prepared to give as good as he got. If you're quite done? Fine. I won't stab you with my tail. She tore her gaze from his, flushing a little. I'm sorry. Better. He actually offered her his hand this time, and belatedly she accepted it. Her fingers tightened around in his as he hoisted her to her feet. Oh gods. She'd really shacked up with some kinda monster, hadn't she? Her street cred was gonna be in the gutter after this. Still better than Carmine. At least this angel wasn't gonna tear her tail off for shagging one of his daughters. Not that he looked like he had any. Although that would be kinda kinky. Please stop staring at me as though I'm a hunk of meat. Staring? Who? Her? No way. Her nose certainly wasn't bleeding. And she definitely wasn't drooling after all that. Nope. Nah. No way. Naruto granted her a withering glance and released her hand all, as he stalked up the steps leading to the angelic embassy. She'd forgotten all about the blasted building, or why he'd been so keen on getting here in the first place. Didn't he want to talk to someone? Probably the big boss himself. Didn't sound like it would go well. You're really headed in there, huh? He glanced over her shoulder. Aren't you coming? Her legs trembled just a little, but common sense prevailed. Her and him? Alone? In a building with no prying eyes? She'd end up trying to bonk his brains out. Nope, nah, she shook her head. I'll wait outside, thank you very much. A distant explosion conjured a mushroom cloud. On second thought. Right behind you. Someone was knocking on her door. As head seraphim, Sera wasn't particularly happy to hear that sound, given that she presently wanted nothing more than lay her head down on her desk and sleep. Sleep, and preferably wake up from this awful nightmare she found herself trapped in. But no, apparently that wasn't happening today. Sometimes, she really hated this job. Why couldn't Michael or one of the bloody archangels take over? She wanted a vacation. Right, because that lot still wasn't showing their faces. Or maybe they were just wary after what happened to Adam. No, couldn't have that now, could they? She had to be the one to look prim and proper, when in reality, she craved nothing more than sweet escape. And someone was still knocking on her blessed door. Raising her head, Sera swept a slightly trembling hand over her half-lidded eyes, scrubbed the sleep from them, then forced herself to sit up, reclaiming some small semblance of dignity. Clasping both hands before herself, she likewise took a moment to comport her thoughts and muster up her dignity, as was befitting of one given her rank and station. No such luck. Her wings drooped behind her almost immediately. She was so very tired. Naruto's abrupt descent had caused no small amount of chaos in the upper stratum, if only because no one had expected him to do so. He'd gone down there willingly, of his own volition, and hadn't fallen for it. That alone had been enough to foment unrest, but what he'd done next hadn't just stirred the pot, he'd gone and kicked it over. Because, you see, now he was demanding a meeting with a certain morning star. Lute had practically gone feral. She hadn't shut up about it since. The knocking intensified tenfold, loud and determined, punctuated by raised voices now and a loud bang. Time to face the music, she supposed. There was no point in delaying any longer. Enter, she declared briskly, dreading who might be on the other side. On cue, the door to Sera's office swung open. Please don't let it be Lute. Please don't let it be Lute. For the love of all that is holy, don't let it be Lute. Yes. Not Lute. Unfortunately, it was Emily standing before her. And was that Lute's broken body sprawled out in the hall behind her? It looked like someone had beaten her within an inch of her life, but Emily was the only one standing there and oh dear. Oh, very dear. Oh, very, very dear indeed. Angels did not curse, they could, but some chose not to, and never in her life had Sera done so, but here and now, in this moment, Sera was almost tempted to. Emily wasn't violent. Had never been. Probably never would be at that, and yet, her eyes did not lie. Sera? The younger seraphim wrung both hands before her dress, violet eyes reflecting quiet anxiety to match her. Can we talk? Sera looked past her, still unable to comprehend the scene of violence in the hallway beyond. What happened to Lute? Emily's gaze grew watery, tears welling up within. She said such awful things, so I put her to sleep for a while. It was for her own good. I see. She did not, but these were strange times, and she was grateful to have Lute silenced, if only for a little while. Well, what did you wish to discuss? Emily stared at her, glassy-eyed. What is Extermination Day? Say, Sera, what was that bit about never cursing again? Shit on a stick. Funk a duck. Damn this day, eh? Although she towered well over 12 feet tall, Sera had never felt so small. Her right eye twitched explosively as a muscle jumped in her jaw, but even that fleeting flicker of anger couldn't save her from the fiasco before her. She tried to muster a response, but when faced with such a guileless gaze, she couldn't help but falter. Emily was looking to her for answers, waiting for her to explain, and she couldn't. She could just stare. That blasted Naruto. He'd said something to her after all, hadn't he? This was all his fault. It had to be. She just knew it. At a loss, Sera chose the only path she could. I can explain. A lone tear rolled down Emily's cheek. Sera, what have you done? Naruto was gone. Why? Why WHY? He'd come running the moment he sensed him. By all rights, he should be here. So why wasn't he here? Blast it all, he'd known exactly where he would be. There had been no delay. He made a beeline directly for him with all due haste, not stopping once to save anyone in his path, with no interruptions besides. He wasn't entire proud of that last bit, but needs must, and he was in a hurry. There was no possible escape. Yet he was gone now, his trail cold, all sign of him lost in the chaos of his flight. All he had to show for his efforts were a band of blithering idiots shoving guns in his face. Carmine's goons, no doubt. He didn't pay them much heed at first, until one of the wounded wastrels mentioned the angel. Him. That had piqued his interest. He'd interrogated the lot of them, wrung out every scrap of sordid secrets he could, then killed them afterward. It was a matter of principle. Pride, one might say. He had a reputation to maintain, even down here. Only their overlord had run away to fight another day. He'd spared her on a whim, if only because Naruto had clearly deigned to fight with her and let her live. In honor of that, she would keep her life this day, and by her survival, further spread word of his deeds. Soon he would be known throughout all the rings. Naruto was bound to hear of him sooner or later, if they didn't blunder into one another. If he didn't hunt him down first. If he didn't lose his patience. Bracing himself, he looked to the skies, crouched down, and leaped. The hunt was on. Naruto expected many things when that door opened. A titan of stone. A towering giant made of fire. A winged monstrosity with horns as large as they were tall. He did not expect a girl, least of all one so impeccably dressed. She wore a strange red suit open at the chest to reveal a white shirt and a black bow tie, which contrasted nice with her pale skin and bright, glowing red eyes. No, literally. Her eyes were glowing, Her Sera a strange shade of golden yellow to match her equally golden hair, which was bound beautifully behind her back. Quite the oddity, all in all. "Hello?" she called out, not seeing him at first, given how perfectly still he was. "Anyone here? I signed the creepy sign-in sheet and you've got a succubus sleeping in the lobby." Per Verasika. Naruto planted his elbows against the table, sat up in his chair and pointedly coughed into a fist. Ahem. The girl took one look at him, sputtered and dropped her papers. "Oh my goodness, Furiosato?" That weighs an awful lot of words at once, so much so that he couldn't help but tilt his halo-clad head. "Come again?" Somehow, she rallied, much to his amusement. "Right, so I am Charlie. My, Dad couldn't make it, so he sent me." His jaw clicked open, and he forced it closed with a fist. Morningstar had a daughter? Angels could do that. She offered him her hand. "Nice to meet you." "Well, would you look at that? A nice person. An actual, legitimate, I do not have a mean bone in my body person." How could someone down here be nice? Verasika had been flawed, but she claimed to have been born here. Carmilla was a sinner who'd found herself her due to the mistakes she'd made while alive. But this girl, rather, this young woman, was different. This girl had been born here, he could sense that much from the faint radiance suffusing her soul. But there was something different about her. A hint of divinity mixed with just what was that. She squeaked a little and repeated herself, still holding out her hand to him. "Nice to meet you." Rising from the table, he circled around it, took her fingers between his and shook them firmly. "Naruto. And right back at ya. Please, have a seat." Charlie claimed the one next to his. "Yuri not Adam, right?" "No. It's just, I've heard some interesting things about the leader of the Angels." He chuckled. "We're under new management." "Is that a good thing?" Naruto smiled. Miles away, a man dropped his ducks. "I sense a disturbance." A disturbance indeed. Charlie spoke a mile a minute. She had to, if only for fear of being shut down. Blast nerves. Or were they jitters? Semantics. Gotta keep talking. "I'm so happy we got this opportunity to meet. There's this project I've been working on that I really want to talk to you about, and it's a solution to our biggest problem down here." Naruto's haloed head bobbed once. "And what would that be?" She beamed, quietly anxious. "Overpopulation." "I agree. That is a problem. Continue. Just don't sing again, please." Much to her surprise, the angel didn't interrupt her further, but placed one hand beneath his chin and waved her on patiently with the other. It felt like he was listening to her. Not just humoring her, but actually listening. His bright gold eyes never left hers, and though he'd long since reclaimed his seat, which meant she'd nabbed the one right next to him, the better to show him her papers, he didn't seem concerned by the mangy mess she was making. She had a lot of papers, all right. It was a presentation. Sue her. But the problem is, well. She paused, not quite certain how to phrase it without offending him. In the end, he answered for her. "Purges." Yeah, she winced. "Purges. Extermination Day." Charlie cringed. "Relax." He waved a hand to soothe her spirit. "I'm hardly going to snap at you for speaking your mind." His 10 wings twitched behind his back as he laughed. 10 wings? Daddy only had 6, and yet these wings looked frightfully fluffy. She kinda wanted to touch them. No. Focus. He was still talking. "I came down here to see what it was like for myself." She perked up, almost daring to hope. "So you're not in favor of Extermination Day?" "That remains to be seen." He indicated her with a wing, tempting her to touch it. "Take you, for instance. Good soul, pure soul. You were born down here, right? I was, she conceded with a reluctant nod, not quite seeing where this was going. And yet you're a good person, he said. Another nod. Others are not. I disagree. She lurched to her feet, planting both hands on the table to stare at him. These are my people. Their souls. Human souls. Just the same as the ones you have up in heaven. Are they? He tilted his head. From what I've sensed and seen down here, this place ain't exactly a rose garden. Some people might belong here. No, her hair swayed as she shook her head. You're wrong. Sinners made mistakes, sure, but everyone makes mistakes. He fell silent at that, and his silence concerned her. It would have been so much easier if he were a rude asshole who didn't give a flying pig about her dream, or any of it, but that was the problem? He genuinely did. Did you know I've already been shot at today? Charlie winced. I'm sorry? Don't be. I was just making a point. I landed here, and several people tried to kill me. Would you say people like that deserve redemption? Irk. She knew she shouldn't be afraid. It wasn't like she was in any real danger. But still, angels were still, well, angels. She'd seen them, heard the stories, and all the destruction they caused. Still, she had hope. If they were willing to talk, that was a good thing, right? Right. Had to be. Vaggie said this wouldn't work. Maybe it wouldn't. But she had to try. This was her chance. She couldn't be wrong, right? I mean, I want what's best for my people. And what is best for them? Naruto asked. I don't know the answer to that. Do you? In a perfect world, where do you want them to go? Well, heaven sounds lovely and... It is, he confirmed with a nod, nice and shiny too. But ask yourself this: how can you tell if someone is truly redeemed? Does everyone deserve a chance to go there? Yes. And yet... Her voice warbled. Well... Easy, I'm not trying to step on your dream here. His smile flashed out once more, slightly stressed as she sat back down. I am a good guy. I want what's best for people. I don't enjoy seeing people suffering, but ever since I came down here, I find myself wondering about the system we have here may not be the right one. She gasped. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. He gave his shoulders a shrug. I don't have the answer for that. Heck, I don't think any of this is even real, to be honest. Like I said earlier, you don't belong down here in the mud and muck. You were born down here. You didn't ask for any of this, and yet here you are, trying to do good. For that alone, you deserve praise. Heat rose to her cheeks. Vaggie seldom said anything like that where her dream was concerned. Hanks? I just want to help people. And there's nothing wrong about that. Naruto temporized with a raised hand. But some people can't be helped. I mean redemption? His brows shot into his hair. Of sinners? Is that even possible? Have you seen it happen before? She tucked her head into her chin. No. Then why do you believe it can happen? He prodded her gently. She glared at him, eyes glowing. I have to. No one else is willing to try to change anything. That made him smile. Good answer. I'll be honest. There's a part of me that just wants to scrap the current system and start over. Charlie sucked in a sharp breath. Was he talking about a war? You wouldn't do that, right? I'd like to say no, but there's something wrong with this place. He turned his eyes to the stained glass windows above and tooted softly. I'm not sure if it's you, or me, or what, but I don't think the afterlife should be like this. Heaven's nice. He shrugged a shoulder. But it should be better. Perfect, not the petty version I know. Nothing's perfect. But it should be. He thumped a fist down, startling her. I mean, it's heaven. It's in the name. But if you saw it, you'd see the cracks, the flaws, the mistakes. Palming his face, he looked away from her for a long moment, and heaved a long-suffering sigh. We shouldn't be sitting up there, resting on our laurels. We ought to be out on Earth doing good deeds, making things better. I just don't know anymore. She was losing him. Had to act fast. I brought more papers and portfolios. There's no need. He shook his head, pale hair swaying. To be honest, I'm still making up my mind. I've had some good examples down here, some bad. She looked down, made somewhat crestfallen by his remark. So you don't agree with me? It's complicated. I'm fairly certain this isn't my afterlife, you know. Charlie's brain fizzled. What? Naruto beamed at her. Surprising, isn't it? I've had the pure world described to me by folks in passing before, and honey, this ain't it. He chuckled at something she didn't understand. Which means your afterlife might not be real. Neither heaven nor hell. In a word, fiction. Some might even call it satire. I mean, really. Me? Wings? What were they thinking? Waving a hand, he scoffed. I'm far too flawed for that. So where does that leave us? Who decides what's good and what's evil? My definition and yours differ by, well, definition. Let me ask you this. Steepling his fingers, he laid his chin atop them and stared at her. Where is the justice? He was asking questions now, hard questions, painful questions, questions that made her think. For the first time in a long time, she found herself questioning her dream. It hurt. But she couldn't let a question like that go unanswered now, could she? Scooting closer, she dared to lay a hand on his. Justice is what we make of it. His brows shot straight up into his hair. How do you function? By breathing? I just take things one day at a time. For some reason that made him laugh. You have a good heart. Aha! Opportunity knocked. Good enough to get rid of Extermination Day? Naruto heaved a sigh. Charlie. She clasped both hands before her face and bounced in place. Please, please, please. He tore his gaze from hers and looked to the ceiling. I can promise an exemption this year at the very least. Might be a chance to set up a better system. Which meant no purge this year. She'd take it. Are you really strong enough to enforce that, though? His wings flared behind him. Who's gonna stop me? This time, curiosity got the better of Charlie. So fluffy. Couldn't resist. Must touch. She dared to run a hand along the length of one wing, brushing his feathers, only for him to jerk back with a yelp. Long lashes fluttered in a baffled blink and a small, shy smile touched her lips. You're ticklish? Surprisingly. He tucked his wings in with a scowl. Warn me next time. Her eyes inadvertently strayed back to them. Does that count? Naruto frowned. Charlie, no. She pouted. Boo. In that instant, an idea dawned. Oh. She waved her hand in the air. I know. You can stay at my hotel and watch me rehabilitate sinners. How's that sound? Then you'll have something to show in your report to heaven. An angel in a hotel full of people who want me dead? He balked, incredulous. That sounds like a bad idea. Even if he did disguise himself, it was a recipe for disaster. She kicked at the floor. I'll call you at least visit for a few hours? Depends. Would a visit likely change my mind? Charlie raised a finger and opened her mouth to reply. Naruto squinted at her. Think very carefully before you finish that sentence, Miss Morningstar. She looked away and kicked at the ground again. Wheel. Emily, please. No. If you just listen. No. You're making this so much harder than it has to be. No. Sera could feel a migraine coming on actually, Scratch that, it was already here, and pressed her forehead against the door in a vain attempt to alleviate it. The cool wood helped, but only marginally. It did nothing to lift the soul-crushing guilt weighing her down, nor did it soothe the ache in her heart. "Please," she breathed, the very word twisting her thoughts into knots, "open the door." Silence reigned supreme. Damn it all. Emily had never lashed out at anyone before. She'd always been so gentle and thoughtful and kind and, well, maybe a little naive, if she was being entirely honest with herself. Perhaps a bit hyperactive and a touch ditzy at that. Nevertheless, she remained a beacon of light and life and levity for those in the afterlife, a guiding light treasured and cherished by all. One that had dimmed as of late, much to the head seraphim's eternal chagrin. In the span of less than a day she'd laid out Lute, stormed into her office, chewed her out, and locked herself in her room. Her door didn't even have a lock, for heaven's sake. How had she managed that? Sera didn't know, and frankly she didn't care to know. She had far more pressing concerns. Such as the angry seraphim who wouldn't speak to her. Ordinarily, it would have been a small matter to break down the door and put a stop to this nonsense. Emily might be a tad faster than she, but she was weaker than her, always had been, so naturally it should have been a simple matter to dispel the protections she had in place, barge her way, then end this. As head seraphim it was her responsibility, nay, her duty to restore order. But she couldn't. Because, you see, Emily was crying. The sound weakened her more than any holy weapon ever could, left her more powerless than ever. She could hear her clear as day, the noise barely muffled through the door frame. Her little sister was weeping, bawling her eyes out. Great heaving sobs likely racked her frame, and she could just imagine Emily hunched over herself, curled up on her bed, scrubbing at her red-rimmed eyes as she cried. And the worst part? She'd no one to blame but herself. The truth had broken Emily, shattered something deep inside her that might never be repaired. She wasn't blind to her plight, much as she might wish to be at the moment. Angels weren't like souls, those who ascended to the pearly gates after a life well lived. They were born here in heaven, pure, and radiant like the sun itself. Seraphim more than most. They, like the archangels, were made for a singular purpose. Sera, for instance, embodied rules and order. Her purpose was to protect. Emily was joy, happiness, kindness. She cared for others, perhaps too much. Naruto was, she no longer knew what he was. Honestly, she wasn't entirely sure he was an angel. It had been an age since she'd seen one with 10 wings. Still, his power was undeniable, and his soul was pure, there could be no denying that. Anyone strong enough to pound Adam into a pulp and flout the laws without becoming fallen was someone she didn't want to tango with, no matter what her instincts might tell her. She had to make Emily understand. But before that, she needed to know. What did Naruto tell you he would be doing? Emily, please, she pleaded. It's important. Did he tell you his plans? Emily? Are you there? Her brow furrowed. I will tear this door down if I must. Beep off. Sera recoiled, then squinted, startled by her exclamation. Was that a curse? No. She heard a flustered noise behind the door. It wasn't. I said beep. There's a difference. Despite her overwhelming stress, Sera nearly swooned where she stood. Even when she was upset, Emily couldn't change her nature. So damn adorable. Unfortunately, all the adorableness in the world didn't change the fact that they were very much at odds right now. Please try to understand. She placed a pale hand against the battered door, desperately trying to impart some small semblance of meaning through it. Everything I do is for the good of us all. For our good? Or yours? You lied to me, Sera. Lying's a sin. The words struck her like a slap in the face. It was, wasn't it? Extermination. Emily smacked the door between them, causing her to jump. Of human souls. Demon or not, there's no reason to be doing this. Her eyes flared white in panic. They were uprising, Emily. It is my position as the head seraphim to protect our people at all costs. And it's your position to keep them happy and joyful. Don't you remember? Without the two of us, this place would fall into anarchy. A pained cry brought her up short. How can I bring joy when I now know we're bringing misery to thousands of innocent people? Enough. Sera grabbed the door and yanked, tearing it open. Emily came tumbling out, caught herself with her wings and glared at her, defiant to the end. There were still tears in her eyes, damp trails of moisture running down her face. Sera made to reach for her, but something in her red-rimmed eyes made her pause. Instead, she held out a hand to her sister, trusting in her to take it. Heaven needs us, Emily. Everyone looks to us. We can't doubt ourselves or worry about the fates of demons when we have our own souls to protect. Please, if you start to question, you could end up like him? Even now they didn't dare say his name. Fallen, she agreed with a brief bob of her head. I couldn't bear to see you suffer that fate. Daring to bridge the gap, she reached out, took her by the hands and kissed her forehead. So please let me worry about this, okay? I have everything under control. Liar. Sera froze. What? You keep lying. Emily raised her gaze, halo blazing. You don't have anything under control at all, do you? She winced. That's not true? The smaller seraphim spread her wings and got up in her face, teeth bared in a rare snarl. I think it is. You've been lying to me for hundreds of years. What's one more, right? Emily, wait. Did it amuse you? Her sister all but bit off the last word, teeth clicking together furiously. Knowing I was so ignorant. Naive? I never once thought. Emily wasn't having it. She talked right over her, eyes blazing like bale fire, burning brighter with every word. Naruto questioned you, didn't he? You never liked being second-guessed. He said something that made you angry. The two of you never got along from the first. This was all going wrong. She needed to take control of the conversation. When Sera made to speak, her sister jabbed a finger into her chest just below her ribs, driving her back with a girlish squeak. But he didn't fall, did he? Emily pressed the attack with a ruthlessness she'd never known, hovering closer and closer until there was naught she could do but retreat. Soon there was nowhere left to run. Her back struck a wall, and that was it. She was stuck, unable to do anything but flinch away as the smaller seraphim got right up in her face. He went down there by choice, wings and all. Yet you keep asking me about his plans. Why? Are you that afraid of him? Does he frighten you that much? Sera bit her lip and looked away, unable to weather her glare. Yes. He is an anomaly. He doesn't have heaven's best intentions at heart. You should stay away from him. Emily's gasp tore her gaze back. She pivoted to find the girl's gaze wide, both hands over her mouth. You're going to send someone after him, aren't you? To stop him. Sera didn't answer. In truth, she'd not considered it yet, if only because few could. But she'd have to try, wouldn't she? Emily. Her little sibling didn't respond. The silence stung more than words. Almost lifelessly, she turned her back on her and drifted down to the ground, pallid wings curled around her small body like a protective cocoon. Alighting soundlessly before her, she hunched over and covered her face with both hands. From there, her face hidden from her, she made a noise caught somewhere between a sob and a scream. The noise hurt Sera. Worse, it just didn't stop. It trailed on for a solid 3 seconds before she spoke again. I trusted you all this time, I trusted you. She sniffled once, weeping openly. I did as you said, never doubted you, and yet when I finally find someone you tried to take him away, and for what? Horror dawned in her heart. Find someone? No, surely not. It couldn't be. Or could it? Angels could fall in love. It was rare, but not unheard of. They had hearts, after all. Her own recoiled at the very concept. Emily with Naruto? Unacceptable. Frantic, she tried to rally. If Uzumaki has his way down there, he'll start a revolt. What revolt? Emily ripped her face free from her palms to glower at her once more. He didn't say anything about that to me. You just want to remove him on the off chance that he might be a threat? That's too cruel. Cold. Cowardly. The insults rained down on her one after the other. And you call yourself an angel? Oh no. Emily sighed. The light left her eyes. I never want to see you again. She swept back into her room and slammed the door behind her. Sera immediately tried to pry it open, only to be met with a wall of light. Impossible. Emily had always been weaker than her. How was she doing this? Despairing, she slumped down against the wooden frame. What would the Creator say if he saw her now? Uzumaki. This was all his fault. Stars be damned, but if he didn't get his ass up here soon, she'd drag him back herself. Naruto blinked. He blinked hard. Scrubbed his eyes for good measure. The scene before him didn't change, or rather, this bright, burning beacon of light in his senses remained unwavering. He'd known the denizens of this hotel would be an eclectic bunch from the beginning. Charlie had warned him of such. He'd been sure to disguise himself again in the interim, just in case, carefully hiding his wings and halo for fear of freaking everyone out. And yet. Still, the glowing light in his mind's eye persisted. He turned to face her, wholly confused. I thought you said I was the first angel you ever talked to. The innocent little hellspawn blinked, not catching his meaning. You were? He pointed at Vaggie. Then why do you have an angel here? All eyes turned towards the gray-skinned girl in question. Likewise, all the color drained from Vaggie's face. Charlie balked. What? Oops. He looked her way. You didn't know, did you? Vaggie stepped back, good eye wide, entire body trembling from head to toe. Alastair craned his neck. Now isn't this an interesting development? Husk raised a hand. Now just hold on a minute, what makes you say she's an angel? You might be lying. Well, the fox was out of that bag. Might as well get it over with. Naruto shrugged a shoulder. I thought that was obvious. Beaming, he flared his wings wide for all to see. In hindsight, that might have been a bad idea. All hells broke loose. Verosika didn't believe in redemption. There, she said it. Happy now? There was a reason she'd avoided entering this so-called has-been-hotel, lingering by the door while little Miss Sunshine led the guy who just might be her new boss inside. She had stayed out here on guard ever since, idly fiddling with her phone, half listening to the chaos and clamor within, refusing to even acknowledge the chaos taking place within those four walls. That was, 5 minutes ago? Honestly, she was surprised Naruto hadn't blown the place to bits yet. Angels tended to do that. Bastard was still better than Blitzo. And wasn't that saying something? There were still mornings when she glimpsed that damn crossed-out tattoo on her arm and wanted to claw it off. Looking at it made her feel filthy. Wretched. A reminder of her one moment of vulnerability just before all hells broke loose. Before he ran away, stole her car, did a joyride to the Wrath Ring, maxed out her credit cards to pay for horse riding lessons, and left her to pay for the hotel room they shared. Wouldn't return her calls, wouldn't speak to her, just funked off because he was too much of a bitch to face her feelings. Abandoned. Betrayed. Crushed. A piece of her had died that day. She'd never been the same since. By contrast, flirting with an angel made her ex seem about as dangerous as a kid in a candy shop. She digressed. Sure, she was a bitch, but she accepted that. Owned it. Lived with it. Redemption was for suckers. And she wasn't no sucker even if she had gone and got herself caught up in something way above her pay grade. Angels were bad for business on a good day. But this had the potential to go nuclear. I mean 10 wings, she bit her fingernail, sulking a little as she searched up her phone. Ain't no way in the pits that's a cosmetic choice, right? Gotta be something more than that. Searching up something like this was annoying, but there were records, even if she had to parse her way through them. She'd heard the stories. Seen the exorcists. Regular angels had the 2 wings. Those holier-than-thou seraphim bitches had 6. Who in the flying funk had 10 again? Archangels? Verasika gulped a little and closed her phone down. No way, right? He couldn't be one of those. No shot. Her gaze flicked back to the hotel, still heaving with noise and raised voices. Sounded like they were having fun in there. Should she really be considering this? Sure, the risk was high, but the prize no. Scowling, she shook her head furiously, setting her pale hair swaying about her head. She wouldn't be fooled. She wouldn't be redeemed. She was a hellborn, and she liked it down here just fine, thank you very much. Even if most of the days were shitty, and she had to worry about being shot, and she had to do this god's awful work for a living. Okay, when you put it like that, it kind of sucked down here. But her up there? At the pearly gates? Ain't no way. Mama didn't raise no fool. Except when it came to love and lust, apparently. She couldn't help herself, all right? Mr. Goody Two-Shoes was hitting all of her switches. Tall? Check. Handsome? Double check. Wonderfully witty? Triple check, baby. Of course, it helped that he was powerful enough to put someone like Carmine on her ass. Overlords were no joke. You didn't mess with them. Yet he danced with Carmilla as if they were old friends and come out on top with ease. If was strong enough to take down an overlord, he might even stack up to sins themselves. Would he be a good lay? Probably. A bead of anxious sweat ran down her brow, hastily flicked away. She got chills just thinking about him. Down, girl. Control your urges. How did someone like that become an archangel anyway? He just might be one, or whatever the angel equivalent of that was, because there was no way in heck he was a normal angel. She was still dwelling on the matter when she heard the raised voices. It started distant at first. Someone exclaimed something loudly, which in turn drew her eye, then someone else started hollering, that had her pressing her ear to the door. The rapid footsteps approaching the door? Ah, crap. She dodged back just as someone burst through and nearly got bowled over for her trouble. Oh dear. Little Miss One-Eye didn't look happy. She'd only caught a glimpse of the girl before, but now she looked wrecked. Not the good kind either. The girl was utterly, viscerally distraught, tears running down her face. Verasika had seen that look before. Hells, she'd worn it. Vaggie stormed past, good-eye wild with grief. Out of my way, bitch! Whoa, hey! The shorter girl tagged Verasika's shoulder as she raced past and sent her spinning to the floor. Girl was quick, she'd give her that. Quicker than anyone had any right to be. In the time it took her to right herself aside, she was already gone, vaulting away into the city like a bat out of hell. Wait a minute! Not 3 seconds later, Little Miss Sunshine herself burst through the door, red eyes wide and puffy. Did you see which way she went? Yep. Are you gonna tell me? Nope. She smacked her lips, producing an audible pop. Why not? Because she looked upset. She laid a hand on the wall, nails digging deeply as her tail thrashed angrily behind her. And I'm guessing you had something to do with it. Wasn't hard to guess what. You break up with her or something? No. Charlie recoiled like she'd been slapped and hastily averted her gaze. It's just a lot to take in. Her head tilted. What is? What do you think? Someone hallooed from deeper within the hotel. Girl's a freaking winged monkey, and she didn't even tell us. Don't get me started on whiskers over there. Not one more word out of you, angel dust. What, you gonna gag me? I'd like that. Not happening. Husk. Bottle him. A crash of glass echoed within, followed by an unmanly yelp. All right, now she really wanted to see what was going on in there. Said Blonde waltzed through the door with an annoyed murmur, eyes aglow, wings burning. Checking the door with one shoulder, he turned with the other to regard the diminutive one-eyed little gremlin currently clinging to his back and doing her damnedest to shank him. Bemused by her behavior, he reached around, plucked her off him and dangled her before him as one might a naughty kitten. An angry, murderous, stabby-happy kitten, that is. You can stop stabbing me now, Nifty. The one-eyed little gremlin blinked up at him, nonplussed. I can't kill you? He smirked. You can try, but it won't stick, I'm afraid. She slumped with a sulk. I'll wait. You should probably get back to cleaning, he said. We made quite a mess in there. He dropped her, to which she immediately scuttled back inside like a bee approach. Verasika shuddered despite herself. Just what kind of hotel is this? Never mind that. Charlie all but thrust her way between them. We're wasting time, we gotta go after Vaggie. We? Verasika beat the hip at her, unamused. Who's we? Because right now, sweetheart, you're probably the last person she wants to see. Charlie recoiled, stung by the truth. I didn't mean to hurt her. Yeah? Well, you did. She was crying. Charlie whimpered. Naruto sighed. I'll bring her back. And just like that, her eyes were sparkling all over again. You will? Verasika squawked unhappily. He will? Yes, he will. Naruto shot her a quelling glance as Charlie gave him a hug. Go on, now. He gently but firmly pried her off him. Take a nap, get some rest. This'll all be over by the time you wake up. Her voice warbled. But Vaggie is probably scared out of her wits right now. He chastised her. That's my fault, so I'll fix it. Have a little trust. Promise? She sniffled. He held up his pinky finger. She hooked hers around it immediately. Little Miss Princess looked like she wanted to protest further, but for once, she listened to him. Taking her hand from his, she slunk back into the hotel, crestfallen, yet mollified. The moment she was gone, Naruto gave her an annoyed look. Was that really necessary? Verasika huffed and crossed both arms over her bosom. You tell me. You funked up. Indeed he did. Someone else appeared, nudging the door aside. My, this has been a rather entertaining evening. You've left me in a most murderous mood. Now who was it? Verasika rounded on the newcomer, ready to tell him to piss right off. And froze, rooted where she stood. A dapper fellow wearing red, and more red emerged from the entrance. He all but sauntered out the shadows, wearing a toothy grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. There was a smug swagger in his step as he twirled his staff in hand, a gleam in his gaze, and if one were to look closely, they might have seen horns growing out his hair just for a moment before they receded. Verasika's blood, such as it was, ran cold at the sight of him, followed by a weak whimper parting her full lips. Shit, she it. She knew who this bastard was. Nearly everyone in the circles did. What was the freakin' Radion demon doing here? Don't worry, old chum, Alastor turned that false smile on Naruto with a hollow titter. I'll make certain our benefactor doesn't do anything foolish while you're away. Naruto looked like he wanted to say something, only to sigh and shake his head instead. I'll deal with you later. His smile sharpened dangerously. And you? It sounded like a promise. Or a threat. Wait, Naruto snorted and quirked a pale brow his way. Was that supposed to be a warning? Is that what we're doing now? Alastor laughed back. I was trying to be coy. Were you? Naruto leered at him. You're clearly out of practice. Maybe that's why Charlie calls this place the HazbinHotel. Haha, came the rejoinder. The name was actually my idea, I'll have you know. Naruto leaned closer, teeth bared. Ha! Well, it's not very clever. Haha. Alastor slammed his skull against Naruto's. Thank you. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. Naruto's gaze gleamed gold, wings flaring in all their holy radiance. Deadly horns grew from Alastor's head as his body became a warped, twisted thing. The very air trembled between them, yet despite their respective transformations, they didn't budge an inch, too busy headbutting one another. Neither noticed her. Neither acknowledged her. Neither even perceived of her existence. She may as well have been an ant to them for all it mattered. They'd certainly squash her like one if she tried to interfere. She had absolutely no business placing herself between two monsters who were clearly ready to fight to the death. And yet, trembling a little, she gulped once and dared to cough into a fist. Both angel and demon whipped around to glare her way. Nope. Not pissing them off. Meep. You promised Charlie you'd get Vaggie. She tried, voice quavering. Remember? Pretty sure she'd be upset if you wrecked the hotel. Naruto stared at her. Alastor chuckled. Double meep. She has a point. I suppose she does. Alastor returned to his normal form with a grotesque sound of cracking bone, voice losing its ghastly crackle. Shall we take a rain check? Just this once. Turning his back on the madman, Naruto stalked away. Verasika dithered, torn between following him and getting the hell out of Dodge. I think I left the oven on at home. No, Naruto wrapped an arm around her waist and tucked her in snugly against his hip to prevent her from fleeing. If I'm dealing with this, then so are you. If you're good, I might not spank you. Hello, Lust again, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Verasika purred contentedly, hips wriggling, tail swaying. Mama like, but how are you gonna track her down, anyway? Easily. He shrugged a shoulder. She's not the first angel I've dealt with this week, and she's way weaker than Adam. Verasika did a double take. Excuse me? Adam sneezed and for a moment, his perpetual torment ceased. So done, big man? There was a silence, large and looming, like the whole of creation itself. He gulped. Would you believe if I said I'd learned my lesson? The answer proved immediate. Repent. Alwo. Vaggie fled. Like the coward she was at heart, she turned heel and ran. From Charlie, from him, from everything. In all fairness, she didn't know where she was running and she didn't care, so long as it was away from here. Damn that dirty archangel. This was all his fault. What was he even doing here? She vaulted over a trash bin, skirted a burning building, always something on fire down here, and kept running. Her vision was blurring. She furiously scrubbed at her good eye with her left hand. She wasn't crying. No tears. She really was, wasn't she? She tripped and sprawled headlong into a wall, and that, as they say, was that. It was too much. Something broke deep inside her, and the floodwaters came. She curled into a ball in the alley, buried her face in her hands and bawled, sobbing and screaming as she hadn't in years. She wasn't sure how much time passed after that. It could have been minutes. Might have been hours, who knew? Not her. Eventually, a winged shadow fell over her. Is this a bad time? She glared up at him. How did you find me? A smile, sharp as a blade. Hun, you're burning sadness and sorrow like nothing else down here. Not to mention you're basically a beacon to me. She slumped back in the alley, giving you a go on then. Get it over with. I don't care anymore. Yes, you do. She hissed at him. What? I said yes, you do, he repeated, thrusting a finger her way. You want it all to end, you'd rather die than face your past. He beeped his head aside, considering her anew. Or are you that afraid of upsetting Charlie? Shame burned through her anew. Jump up your own ass and die. Tried that, didn't work. Shut up. She flung a bit of trash his way. Is this a game to you? One big joke? You ruined my life. To be fair. He held up a hand. I didn't even know you were an angel until I'd met you. Did it matter? It was over. All over. Heaven had come for her, come back to finish what Lute and Adam started. Unless. Did he intend to take her back and torture her? Death was one thing, torment another. She had no love for the latter. Cabron hijo de perra. She sprang to her feet, swearing in Spanish as jabbed her spear at him. I know your game. You'll never take me alive. Lucky for you, I don't intend on fighting you at all. He landed beside her, head tilted. You're an exorcist, aren't you? Your soul's familiar like I've seen it before. He sounded uncertain, as if he didn't know. But that didn't make any sense. If he was truly an agent of heaven, come to silence her, or drag her back for torture, then wouldn't he know? How did you get down here? More questions. More feigned ignorance. She scowled at him. Don't play dumb. Everyone knows why. I spared someone during Extermination Day. They took my eye, my halo, and my wings for it. And who was this someone? She averted her gaze. It was just a kid. A nearby wall shattered abruptly. Naruto had gone terribly still. If she weren't looking right at him, she would have thought him a statue. A child? His voice fell to a low, startled rasp. You're telling me Extermination Day kills kids too? Why did the air feel so cold all of a sudden? It was supposed to be hot down here, and yet it felt like she had just stepped into a blizzard. Had his eyes always been so bright? You didn't know? I'm new. He said it as though it explained everything. A muscle jumped in his jaw. You saved the kid, right? Something told Vaggie her very existence hinged on the answer. Yeah, I did, all right? She looked away, grabbing her right elbow and tucking in against her chest. Don't stir old shit up for no good reason. A relieved sigh was her reward. You have no idea how happy I am to hear that. An awful thought occurred to her, just then. Was he telling the truth? How do I know you're for real? Why should I even believe you? I could give you all manner of answers, but they wouldn't satisfy you, now, would they? She scowled at him, ready to bolt. No, they wouldn't. I'm not really sure how well you would hold up if I showed you my memories right now. You'll just have to wait and see, although. In an instant, he closed the distance between them. Here. He laid a hand on her ruined eye, and the other on her head, holding her fast. Consider this a token of good faith. She tried to squirm away, but it was no use, his grip was too strong, too ironclad. A token of wayward? Her words peaked into a strangled yelp of pain as long dead sensation came rushing back into her face. It lasted for about a moment before curious numbness settled over it. She blinked her eyes, confused by the sudden absence of it. Wait. Her eyes? As in more than one? Gasping, she flailed at her face with both hands, tears straining down her face. What did you do? He smiled, warm as a sunbeam. Ain't it obvious? Her halo was still gone, but perhaps that was for the best, given she had fallen. Panic dawned. Charlie. Shit! What do I tell her? Naruto shrugged. How about the truth? The truth will set you free. The gall. She wanted to smack him for it. That's rich coming from you, Mr. Fearless. Hey now. I fear plenty of things. Such as? He flushed. I'm ticklish for one. She scoffed. You are not. Sure am. Try me. Vaggie hesitated, scooted closer, and dared to jab his stomach with a finger, just under his ribs. He recoiled with a laugh. See? You know, there's one more thing I could do for you. She eyed him warily. Sorry, not interested. This time, he recoiled for a different reason altogether. What? No! I wasn't talking about that. I meant your wings? And your halo? What happened to them? Ripping. Pain. Agony. Her face closed down. They're gone. Taken from me. She was an outcast now in every way that mattered. Do you know the name of the angel that attacked you? She hesitated, if only for a moment. What was the harm? She was screwed either way. Might as well go out on her terms. Adam and Lute. Naruto chuckled. It was a little more than a snicker at first, but soon that became a giggle, then an outright cackle as he doubled over, clutching his stomach. What's so funny? Straightening up, he wiped a mirthful tear from the corner of his eye, snickering one last time. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Buster, she planted a fist on her hip and glared his way. After the day I've had, I will leave just about anything. Spill it. So he did. By the end of it, she was questioning a great many things. You did what? When? To who? Oh God, she wished she was there to see Adam humbled. I literally just told you. She swore at him in Spanish again. All right, no need to break out the cuss words. She huffed. I've been down here for ages. This place rubs off on you. His face closed down. Yeah, it kinda does, doesn't it? Hold still. A nervous beat of panic fluttered through her heart. Hey, now wait just a second, what are you going to do this time? He spun her around, and placed both hands against her back. Fix you. Fire surged through her shoulders, and she doubled over with a gasp, clutching herself. As quickly as it came, it vanished. There was a weight against her back again. Impossible. Unless. She dared to glance over her shoulder. Oh, wow. Her wings were larger than she had remembered. The colors, once a harsh black and white, were now a softer shade altogether, more of a white-gray. She found herself reaching back to touch them, almost absently, reveling in her newfound freedom. It was like phantom, limb pain. She had lived without them, gone without them, for so long now, that the sun return almost left her unbalanced. Pretty wings. The compliments sent a rush of heat to her face. Stop that. He blinked. Stop what? Stop using that silver tongue of yours. Stop being so nice. I'm really not doing anything, though. He held out his hands to ward off another poke of her finger. I'm just being me. Bullshit. Nobody's this nice. I am. Well, he amended with a shrug. Most of the time when I'm not dealing with megalomaniac idiots asking for a beating. What was she to say to that? What cudgel'd she say for that matter? Her wings tucked in and vanished. What do you think of Charlie's plan? He smiled sadly. Would you believe me if I said it's hopeful? I'm sensing a but here. There was one. It's also kind of naive. He held up a finger, further emphasizing his point. I can sense emotions. Negativity, intent, murderous or otherwise, I've had that ability ever since the war. Part of it stuck with me, I guess, even after losing Kurama. Or maybe being an angel heightened it, I don't know. Regardless, there's a lot of nasty shit down here. Maybe some of it can be redeemed, but the idea of everyone being saved? Yeah, that's a pipe dream. I used to think everyone could be saved too. I tried my hardest to save someone. And I succeeded, I think. But for every hard luck case, there are those who are just unable or unwilling to change. So you're saying there's hope for some at least? Maybe. He waffled a hand between them. Charlie's a little naive to think you can save everyone. Hey, that's my girlfriend you're talking about. Belatedly she winced, recalling the hurt look she seen in her eyes, the expression of betrayal, horror, hurt. She looked away, gripping her right arm under her blossom as a surge of self-loathing kicked at her chest. I mean, I think she still is. Naruto scoffed. Please, a little hiccup like this? I used to carry a monster inside my stomach. People were terrified of me. You'll be fine. How did you deal with said monster? He planted both fists on his hips and boomed a belly laugh. Fought him, kicked his ass, made him my best friend. You get used to it. She balked at him, incredulous. How do you even function? One breath at a time. You're insane. She palmed her face, despairing. You're actually insane. Naruto tilted his head. You're just figuring that out now. I'm starting to think it's an angel thing. No, no, no. She thrust a finger in his face. You don't get to pin the blame on me for that. Don't even try. He smiled. Who's blaming you? Vaggie elbowed his ribs. She found herself starting to not trust him. She'd only just met him, but the sheer amount of bombs he dropped on her had done a great deals, break the ice between them. And if he was telling the truth about even half of the things he said which she believed she was, well, a lot was about to change. Maybe for the worse, maybe for the better. Who could say? Not her. She just wanted to keep Charlie safe. For her, at least, nothing else mattered. So long as she was safe and happy. I won't tell you what to do. Naruto planted a hand on her shoulder, but his grip was comforting, not the icy cold of Lute she remembered from that dark day. I'll leave that up to you. You're a good person, Vaggie. Just like Charlie. Her brow furrowed. Hey, watch it, Buster. She's taken. He chuckled a little, amused by her. But I didn't do anything? She flicked a finger between them. Naruto laughed anew, but only for a moment, then his visage hardened. Do you love her? What kind of question was that? More than anything. Would you die for her then? In a heartbeat. Wait. Why were you smiling? Congratulations. He patted her head. Oh, that was the answer I was looking for. You get to live. Maybe not yet, but she was leery of him still. I still don't entirely trust you. Steeling herself, she stepped in and gave him a quick hug. But healing me was sweet, she finished. What now? Now? He turned an eye toward the sky. I'm thinking I need to have a word with someone. And that someone would be? For once, the silence was his answer. Vaggie balked. Oh no. Nah. Tell me you're not thinking what I think you're thinking. All right, he clasped both hands behind his head and grinned her way. I'm not. Naruto, no. Naruto, yes. He was still speaking when a blazing star fell upon him from on high with the force of 1,000 hammers, smashing him face first into the street in an explosion of dust. In the chaos that followed, Vaggie beheld blazing red eyes in the haze. 2 growling words rumbled through. Found. You. Well, well, well. Now wasn't this a familiar situation? Naruto smirked, releasing a bemused breath into the asphalt. There wasn't any pain, not really, but the impact alone had him seeing stars. He'd actually had his brain rocked for a moment there. Not many folks who could do that. Only 5 that came to mind, really. And those with red eyes? Well, that narrowed it even further. Blinking the blazing dots them from his vision, he twisted his head aside, momentarily freeing himself from his captor's grasp before another hand came crashing down on the back of his head, locking him in place. Again, he felt neither pain nor fear, nor even the slightest concern. You know, there's really no need for this. Because, you see, he knew those eyes. Oh yes, he knew them very well. Even if they were hiding their face in that tattered cloak. A low growl rumbled above him in response to his smile. You insufferable bastard, say something! Craning his neck back as much as his captor would allow, he allowed a crazed grin to split his face. Sarcasm it was. Aw, I missed you too, honey. 5 firm fingers bit into his skull and twisted as an angry voice snarled in his ear. Care to rephrase that? Oh wow. Alright, that hurt a little. Okay. Don't pull the hair. So speaking, he reached around with a free hand and scratched the back of his head sheepishly. Long time no see? Those searing red eyes didn't waver. Not once. Is that all you have to say to me? A bead of sweat ran down his brow. You look good? The hand gripping his skull forced his face deeper into the dirt. Wrong answer. Vaggie, having seen quite enough, drew her spear. Hey! Let him go! His captor rounded on her, practically frothing at the mouth. You be quiet, little Miss Angel. You're responsible for this, too. She paused, tilting her head. I am? You most certainly are. Naruto's resultant laugh was muffled into the dirt. Don't worry, it's fine. They're a friend. Vaggie looked between him and his hooded captor. They're not acting very friendly. Pretty sure I know the reason for that. Twisting around, he seized hands holding his hand, grabbed the tattered sleeves of the cloak and yanked. A dismayed shout was his reward. Don't! Too late, the garment fell away. Yup. Naruto smacked his lips. Thought so. He was beginning to think the afterlife had a cruel sense of humor. At first glance, one might have been forgiven for mistaking the newcomer for Kushina Uzumaki. Oh, they looked like his mother, but he knew it wasn't. There were subtle differences one easily noticed up close. The eyes were different for one, a blazing slitted red, her face leaner, hair rougher, jaw set in a stern scowl. He didn't remember her being quite so stacked or tall, for that matter either. Of course, the 9 bushy tails and fiery fox ears atop her head helped to distinguish the kitsune further. The SCB Posley short shorts and low-cut crimson top only served to further exasperate him. Still, at least this form was somewhat humanoid. Humanoid, and very annoyed. Infinitely so. Per Kurama. He'd sensed all this mere moments before impact, hence why he'd allowed himself to be tackled in the first place. Now? And I thought I had it rough. He clasped both hands behind his sorry about this, Kurama. Vaggie's jaw dropped. That's Kurama? Naruto shrugged. To be fair, he usually doesn't look like this. No kidding. Do you have any idea how annoying it is to have tits? That's your problem? Far from it. The fox's voice was rougher, lower, undoubtedly feminine, but the lofty arrogance definitely belonged to his old partner. I'm stuck in the body of a bitch. The Biju slapped a hand against her hip. I was naked when I fell down here. I had to swipe these clothes off the second soul I found. Second? Her pale face flushed. Long story. I wasn't about to make a shady deal with that bastard. Shady deals? Yup. That had Alaska written all over it. Regardless. A finger jabbed into his nose, seeking brain matter. You're going to fix this. Now. A moment of silence passed. Yet another now. Then. And how do you expect me to do that? It wasn't as though he could simply open his soul and let the fox back in. Don't get him wrong, he'd be happy to, but he wasn't sure he could. He laid a hand over his stomach, scowling a little as he realized the seal was no longer there. Of course it wasn't. He died. Why would it be? Kurama growled, but refrained from arguing. Your angel now, aren't you? Take me up to those pearly gates, tell them there's been a mistake and get this fixed. Surely you can at least do that. I mean, sure, but I'm trying to figure out why this happened in the first place. Thumbing his chin, he tilted his head, considered the buxom redhead with confusion. Maybe because the afterlife couldn't give you my form, so they went with the last physical body you were in? Maybe that's why you kinda resemble Mom? Kurama kicked a wall, causing it to rumble. Don't remind me. If your mother's anywhere in this afterlife, I'm sure she's laughing herself silly. I still think there's something else at work here, considering we both died in the first place, you know. The fox flicked his forehead. Speaking of which, how did you manage to die in the first place? What do you mean? He squinted at his old friend. Sasuke killed us, remember? The kitsune squinted at him, incredulous. That's not what I recall at all. Huh? You sure about that? I remembering being run through. Nonsense. Something like that shouldn't have killed you. Strange. The fox asked another question, distracting him further. Why were you up in heaven for so long, anyhow? Why didn't you come looking for me? Embarrassment shot through him. Emily, Sera, Lute, and a whole host of distractions. Well, I was busy. A fist seized his collar, dragging him closer. Red eyes glowered at him. Explain. Now. Okay, he held up both hands, but you can't get mad at me. Start talking, and we'll see. All right. I was minding my own business. Bullshit. I was. He laughed, fending the fox off with one hand. Do you think I asked for this get-up? I literally died and found myself in heaven. Kurama huffed. And me down here. As if he needed reminding. A lot's happened since I wound up there. Some whingy bastard named Adam picked a fight with me and... Adam? Never heard of him. Naruto flung up his arms. That's what I said. Look, there's a ton to unpack. I'll do my best to help you, but I'm a bit busy at the moment. Kurama stomped on his foot. I look like some red-headed bimbo. What could possibly be more important than fixing this? Naruto looked away with a whistle, scratching his cheek. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. The fox girl scowled. It's a woman, isn't it? No? Right. Speaking of girls, Kurama jerked a thumb over her shoulder at Vaggie with an indignant huff. That one's been staring at my tits for the last 5 minutes. said Angel, recoiled with a sputtering blush. I have not. Child, I have eyes. Yours have been fixed on my bosom. What's even to like about them? She hefted the pert mounds of flesh with a growl, looking like she wanted nothing more than to tear them off. Blasted flesh bags. They're so heavy. How does your kind walk with ease? What purpose do they serve? Vaggie made noise caught somewhere between a sigh and a groan. Naruto covered her eyes to spare her. You're making the poor girl drool, Kurama. Am I? I hadn't noticed. But enough games. The fox dropped both arms and began tapping a bare foot impatiently. Take me up to heaven this instant so I can get this sorted out. I will, he placated with a raised hand. I just need to get Vaggie back to Charlie first. No! A stomp shattered the street. This is more important. Stubborn fox. Kurama. Naruto. It's literally gonna take less than a minute. Every second in this form is an indignity I cannot bear. Vaggie raised a hand. Is it really that bad? She's awfully easy on the eyes. Kurama glared bloody red daggers at her, voice warping ominously. Finish that sentence at your own peril, winged pigeon. Pigeon? Down, girl. Naruto chopped the back of her head lest she get herself killed. You have Charlie. She huffed and squirmed out from under his hand. Sorry. Fine. Kurama surprised him by abruptly backing down. I'll wait. Shall we shake on it? Warily, he offered his hand. Kurama accepted his palm, held tight, and promptly flung him over his shoulder and into a wall. Incredulous, he ripped himself out of the brickwork, leaving a decidedly angel-shaped impression behind. He was still shaking his head when a streak of scarlet light blitzed him. Rather than retaliate, he tripped, sending the blazing blur sprawling into the street at his feet in a disheveled heap. Can't fight so well in that new body of yours, can ya? A tail seized his ankle and whipped him face first into the floor with an audible crunch. Hey! Naruto sprang back with a sigh. Can we not do this right now? I've had a hell of a day. He was still speaking when Kurama slugged him in the face, snapping his head back. Ow! Just as quickly, he snapped back down, halo aglow and eyes ablaze. Never mind, we're back in business. You asked for it. A quick 1-2 punch floored his old comrade, leaving the fox reeling. He made the mistake of turning his back to check on Vaggie, then, the moment he did, Kurama tackled him to the floor. Pinning him there, the fox planted a clawed hand on his chest. You started this mess, Naruto Uzumaki. You will fix it. Even if I must make you. He scowled up at them, indignant. Big talk from a bipedal bitch. In hindsight, he really hadn't meant to say that aloud. Errors have been made. They were his. Kurama absolutely hissed. Bitch am I? Let me show you how bitch I can be. The fox reared back and punched him through a building. Everything shook. Blitzo creaked an eye open where he lay in bed. Scowled now, rolled over with a growl. Noisy bastards. I'm trying to sleep here. Besides, it was probably nothing. Right? Vaggie watched two monsters fight. It was like watching the sins themselves go at it. Buildings were shorn free, the street uprooted, chaos and fire and holy light everywhere. Sinners shouldn't be able to inflict half the damage they did, but Kurama was clearly no menial sinner, and Naruto was far more than that. The duo ripped and tore their way across the street like a pair of berserkers, not caring a jot for their surroundings. And yet, somehow, either managed to make the other bleed. For all the dirge and destruction, all the attention they were no doubt attracting, they didn't shed a drop of blood. She wasn't sure whether she found that amazing or horrifying. Naruto caught one of Kurama's tails, whirled, and smashed them into the ground. He laughed, only for a rousing roundhouse to catch his chin and smash him into a lamppost, denting it horribly. He ripped said post free and used it as a bat to smack his old comrade through someone's window, eliciting a sharp shriek of dismay from the owner within. Kurama tore through the building and then smashed into him. On and on it went, a raging battle without end. Should she interrupt? Could she? Nope. No way in the hells was she getting involved. At some point, Verasika staggered up to her in the chaos. There you are. You're not an easy bitch to find. She paused. Saw Naruto and Kurama wailing on one another. Blinked now. Scrubbed her eyes with both hands just to be sure. The hell did I miss? Vaggie made to answer, only to realize Naruto had just lost a good portion of his upper robe, baring his chest to the smoldering air. Verasika tilted her head with a wolfish whistle. Vaggie mirrored her. What? She liked girls. She was adamant about that. Still, she could appreciate some nice muscles. And when that feisty fox lost her top. Well, damn. Surely, Charlie's were nice and all, but those were freaking big. Ahem. Vaggie scowled, drawn from her daydream. Now what? Verasika gulped. Everyone looked up. Someone else looked down upon them. Another angel hovered above them, 6 wings lazily treading the air. He wore red and white with a strange hat, his pale face pinched in an expression of pure murder and oh no 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 no. Vaggie's throat went dry, followed by her tongue, then her entire mouth. In that instant, she wanted nothing more than to shrivel up and die. All right, you little shits, the newcomer scowled, last word emerging as a growl. Which one of you made my daughter cry? And just like that, things went from bad to worse. Morningstar had arrived. Who made my daughter cry? Naruto craned his neck back with an irritated scowl, blinked once, and tried to make heads or tails of what was happening. What in the actual hell am I looking at here? Needless to say, well, he did not succeed. Hell yes. That was the proper word. He had no idea who this clown was, and he didn't mean that as a joke either. Guy genuinely looked like a clown with the whole white face, bright eyes, and rosy spots on his cheeks, but what he noticed about him first and foremost were the wings. 6 of them, in fact. Seraphim, the word popped into his head unbidden. Just like Emily and Sera. Did that make him an angel? No halo, though. Strange. Why is a clown here? Said Angel twitched. Excuse me? Kurama righted herself what, he called it as he saw it behind him with an annoyed noise and glared baleful bloody red daggers up at the interloper. You're interrupting us. She slashed a hand outward, fangs flashing in the low light as she snarled furiously. Beat it before we beat you. With that sudden motion, the last tattered scraps of her top, already barely hanging on to begin with, finally gave up the goose and fell. She was not wearing a bra beneath said top. Heat rushed to Naruto's face. Verasika whistled. Dom. Vaggie pitched backward with an almighty nosebleed. He couldn't even blame her for it. Do not make eye contact. Do not look at the tits. Do not. Apparently the as of yet unnamed angel was of one mind with him on this, because he covered his pale face with one hand and sighed sullenly. Nice try, but I'm happily married. Kurama tilted her head. I didn't ask? Naruto gesticulated wildly. Clothes. No, Verasika crooned, hips swaying as she wriggled happily in place. Mama likes where this is going. What are you on about? Kurama looked down with a thunderous scowl. I'm still wearing go. Heat crept into her cheeks as she beheld her nakedness. Blasted things! Seizing one breast in hand, she twisted it viciously, all but ready to tear it away from her chest completely. I'll show you! Naruto stepped in and seized her by the wrist before she could do something foolish, all the while careful to stare well above the kitsun's head. Stop that. If you tear your tits off, you'll bleed to death in a minute. Not sure how that'd work since you're already dead. That'd be what, double death, but ga. She headbutted him under the chin mid-sentence, causing him to painfully bite his tongue. What was that for? A finger flashed forth, grinding into his skull. Because this is your doing. Me? He deadpanned down at her, rubbing his chin. So because I magically gave you tits bigger than Tsu days. Blame me for that too. She glowered at him, one arm over her bosom, suddenly pink in the cheeks, tails swaying behind her. Was that compliment? He flung up his arms. No and no, we are not doing this. Verasika hooted happily. You definitely are. Kiss the girl. Kurama spluttered. Not even in your dreams. A bolt of light sizzled down between them, cutting him off before she could belt the bitch. Seriously? He scowled up at the angry angel, finding him still airborne. We're in the middle of something here. Who are you even supposed to be anyway? The maybe angel twitched. Do you not know who I am? Kurama bit his shoulder while he was distracted. He backhanded her into a building. Without missing a beat, he blinked up at this new, unknown adversary. Should we? Ack. His retort seemed to physically wound the angel. Short little bastard lurched in the air and clutched at his heart. Right in the pride. Cheeky little no, it doesn't matter. In an instant he drifted down, wings tucked in behind him, gaze blazing like bale fire, eyes only for him. I know you! For the umpteenth time he found a furled finger trying to poke a hole in his skull. You're the prick that made my daughter cry. Buddy, Naruto nudged Kurama aside and batted the blazing finger down with a scowl. You keep talking about your daughter. But I don't know. Wait. He squinted at the man. Finally noticed the resemblance, now. Pale skin, glowing eyes, those cheeky red circles on his face. Charlie. Put two and two together at long last, he snapped his fingers with a laugh. You're her old man, ain't ya? Seizing both palms in his, he pumped them up and down with an enthusiastic handshake. She's the brightest little ball of sunshine I've ever encountered in my life, and that's saying something. In hindsight, he probably shouldn't have exclaimed that last bit aloud, because it sent the fallen angel into a sputtering tizzy. What was his name again? It had been some long word that started with the letter L, hadn't it? Lars? Lucy? Meh, couldn't remember. He'd just call him Morningstar. Or Lucy. Both were easier. But oh dear, Morningstar was scowling at him. You're being awfully familiar with my daughter. Well, why wouldn't I be? He tilted his head. We're pals. An eye twitched. Is that so? Yup. Blind to the byplay, he released the angel's hands and clamped a palm down on his shoulder instead. You raised an amazing daughter, even if she's a little naive. Kurama face-blamed. Idiot. Lucy grimaced. I mean, you're not wrong about that last bit, but hey. His scowl returned tenfold as he remembered his reason for coming here in the first place. Don't distract me. If you're such good friends, then why did I find her bawling her eyes out? Now his words held weight, and a fair bit of confusion. Bawling her eyes out? Oh, right. He was kinda responsible for that one, wasn't he? Oops. When faced with the protective wrath of a potentially all-powerful father, there could be only one course of action, one remedy, one solution to solve his problems. Ergo. Pass the buck. Pass it hard. Pass it like a hot potato and pass it fast. He pivoted in place and thrust a finger forth. Vaggie did it. Lucifer moved just as quickly, rounding on her with an evil leer. Oh? And who is this Vaggie? Verasika wisely stepped back, pointing as she went. That'd be her. The recently recovered angel recoiled. Excuse me? You're the one who went and outed me as an angel. Clever girl, tossing the potato back. To be fair, I didn't mean to do that. Morningstar whipped around to regard him with a glare once more. So you're the one after all. Naruto flung up his hands. Me? I didn't do anything. I came down here to. A fist latched onto his collar. Hurt my daughter. Buddy, I didn't even know her until today. You think that little of her then? No. Will you listen to me? Not a chance. He swept an arm out, encompassing them both. You started this and he stabbed a finger toward a chagrined Vaggie, lied to my baby girl. You're both responsible insofar as I'm concerned, and Miss Tall, red and feisty over there, is guilty by association. Hey! Naruto blew out a breath through his nose, snorting angrily. Alright, that settled it. This guy was either trying to pick a fight, or clearly not thinking straight. He got it, really. Protect your kids at all costs. He would feel the same if he was a parent, and he had encountered his fair share of brats, while he was out on missions himself. Konohamaru, for instance, was like a little brother to him. But there were limits to his patience. Look, pal, I don't know who you are or what your deal is here. I literally rule this place. But we're kinda in the middle of something here. I dunno who told you about all this, you're being misinformed. Wait. Kurama buelled between them, eyes blazing. You're an angel, aren't you? Lucy blinked once, irritated, but unwilling to attack outright. Fallen, technically, but yes. Fix me. She seized his shoulders and gave him a demented shake. Get me out of this blasted hormonal body at once. Nope. He battered her hands down as one might an angry child. No can do, that's out of my purview. And even if it weren't, I don't go around helping strangers, least of all souls like you. She gnashed her teeth. I have literally never met you. Maybe so, but you're still friends with this guy, so I am going to funk you. Silence reigned supreme. Kurama's jaw clicked open, eyes wide and face red. Excuse me? Naruto tilted his head. Definitely not the right phrase. I think you meant F***K us up. Isn't that the same thing? Lucy touched a finger to his chin and squinted at the sky, considering. No, I'm pretty sure it was. Kurama decked him in the face while he wasn't looking, delivering a vicious right cross to dent Lucy's cheek. The resultant sneak attack sent him shrieking through a building. His body smashed through it, then another, struck the street once, bounced, and bulldozed another, soon vanishing from sight altogether. Naruto flung up his arms, exasperated. Why did you do that? I literally almost had him talked down. You didn't. She snarled back, butting her head against his, close enough to kiss. Nobody funks me but me. Do you have any idea how ridiculous that sounds? Besides, she huffed, flicking a stray strand of scarlet hair behind her hair, that fallen fool was in the way. Now he's not. Our fight continues. Vaggie slumped to her knees, covering her face with both hands. We're so dead. Quiet over there, Miss Newings. That goes double for you, Pinky. Verasika squawked unhappily. Why me? No more talking. From you. Ignoring them both, she pivoted to face him once more. Now, brat, are you gonna take me up to the pearly gates, or must I smack some sense into you? He scowled at her, undaunted by her display of dominance. You say that like you were winning before. A feral grin split her face. Battle it is. Now where were we? She was still speaking when he made to sweep her knees, only for her to block him with a raised heel. Sparks skittered between them, their raised limbs clashing furiously as each balanced upon one foot. Pivoting, he fell upon a hand and smashed a kick into her chin. Kurama took with a laugh and didn't budge. Much better. I felt that one. She really did talk a good game. However, rolling his eyes, Naruto dropped flat, swayed under her kick when she tried to follow through, then lunged up and drove an open palm between her breasts. The impact blasted her backwards, sending her skidding away on her bare feet with a pained cry where stumbled once, and promptly doubled over, clutching at her chest. You good? Had he seriously hurt her? Ow! She wailed, clutching her tits. Right in the boobs. That freakin' hurts. Really, he should have known better. Bastard. Her head snapped up, red eyes glazing with pained tears. That's a cheap shot. You don't see me going for your balls. He winced, slightly chagrined. To be fair, I didn't think it would hurt that much. You try carrying a pair of massive knockers around and see how it feels. Nope. All the nope. I'd rather not, thanks. Wrong thing to say, that. My turn. Eyes blazing, chest heaving, Kurama opened her mouth and snarled furiously, the very act of which conjured a swathe of familiar chakra before her lips. As he looked on, it condensed itself into a singular sphere. She bit down on that mass of deathly light, devouring it, swallowed, condensing it still further. When next she opened her mouth, he saw the jutsu building within, growing brighter with each passing moment. His eyes bulged. Baijidama? Seriously? That's overkill. She dropped down onto all fours, preparing to fire. All's fair in love and war. His wings flared behind him, each conjuring a Rasengan in the vain hope of countering. And a building between them erupted into a towering pillar of flame. You've done it now! Morningstar emerged from the inferno, jacket scuffed and dirty. Long red horns jutted from his forehead with blazing eyes to match, sharp teeth gnashing furiously as he snarled. A wicked flame danced atop his forehead, and there, just behind his legs, one could see a furious black barbed tail thrashing about, kicking up sparks wherever it struck the street. He was furious. Kurama whirled and opened fire on him. He slapped the tailed beast bomb aside with the back of his hand, diverting it toward heaven high above. Naruto's heart leapt into his throat, only for the blast to strike a barrier. Miraculously it held. Until it didn't. With a sound akin to that of shattering glass, the almighty jutsu smashed through, lancing out in a singular beam to cleave away the top of a tower, then another, followed by a third before finally petering out. The broken remains came crashing down out the heavens, fiery meteors raining down from on high, ventilating buildings and vehicles as they went. Naruto rounded on his comrade, eyes blazing. Kurama! The kitsune woman winced. Oops. Oops, she said. To be fair, that winged bastard deflected it. She hadn't killed anyone with that display somehow, but she'd probably scared the ever-living crap out of the hells and heaven besides. Maybe they'd take the two of them a bit more seriously now. Needless to say, Morningstar wasn't in the best of moods. You come into my house and start this shit? You're dead. For the first time since he'd come to this strange afterlife of his, Naruto felt a flicker of concern. Wait a minute, if this guy was Charlie's dad, and his last name was Morningstar, then didn't that make him? Whoa. The angry angel raised both hands above his head, fingers crooked in the claws. A specter of blazing flame manifested between them. That was quite the large fireball. Die. Ah, crap. His world went white. Kurama came to with a start. Pain manifested first, punctuated by panic, then followed by a blazing headache as she righted herself. This blasted body was infernally annoying. So soft. So squishy. So weak. Bad enough to be trapped in this shell, but it was twisting her thoughts more than she liked. Making her slower, for one. In her heyday, she would have dodged that blasted humanoid form. Wait, where had Naruto gone? The last thing she remembered was that inferno blast of heat and pain, for the first time. She looked down, only for a fresh scowl to rid her features. Why was she in someone's bed? Has she landed here? Someone grabbed Kurama's hindquarters. A sleepy voice drawled, "Who's the broad? Yavi got a nice hick ass. I done remember ordering a stripper." Her eyes bulged. There was an imp, trapped beneath her, grinning blearily up at her. As she balked down at him, he sleepily slapped her ass again. "Hey, wait, you're not Verasika?" In hindsight, she knew it wasn't his fault. The little bastard looked and smelled like he was drunk off of his ass, not to mention half asleep. She'd likely crash-landed this building onto him when that fireball blew her and Naruto apart, thereby absolving him of any guilt in the matter. However, this body had a tendency to get rather emotional when touched by others. The result, some might say, was practically preordained. The fox absolutely hissed. Die. Poor Blitzo did not, in fact, die. Given the chaos followed, it was not a mercy. Naruto dragged himself out the rubble just in time to see a shrieking imp rocket across the horizon. Poor bastard soon vanished, sailing out of sight, not to be seen for the rest of the day. Naruto sighed. Saw that coming. Kurama was fine, clearly. But was he? Dusting himself off, he reluctantly rose, shaking the dust free from his hair as he went, patting out little fires all across his body. No broken bones, no blood, just a faint singing. He'd been right to dodge at the last second, there after all. His wings bloomed behind him in a glow of gleaming gold, further confirming that he was unharmed, if a bit dirty. Bemused, he beat them once to clear the smog of dirt and dust around him. From there, he craned his neck, cracked it once to work out a kink, searching for his foe. Now where'd he run off to? He was still speaking when Morningstar barreled into him from the side, howling obscenities. He could scarcely make sense of them all. He was far too focused on the storm of fists that followed. A flaming punch snapped his head to the side, followed by a left, right, then left again, battering him about like a leaf in the storm. For an angel, Lucy knew how to throw a punch. He took each blow head on, accepted them with nary more than a grunt, and finally deigned to retaliate. Sliding to the right, he caught the next punch, twisted Lucy's right arm aside to reel him in, and slammed a fist into his torso. Morningstar buckled and spat golden blood, but didn't admit defeat. His tail slashed out overhead, striking between his wings to carve him across his cheek, blinding him in one eye. It healed a moment later, but the damage was done, allowing another flaming punch to dent his cheek. He lashed out with one of his own, sending Lucy careening into the burned-out shell of a car. He grabbed it and whipped it his way almost immediately. 3 wings cut through it with ease, only for him to barrel through the severed halves and tackle him headlong. Really, he tried, but Morningstar was just so damn short. In the end, he ended up forcing a grapple between them. And what a grapple it was! They clasped hands and strained against one another, foreheads colliding in a shower of sparks once, twice, thrice. Wings slashed out to inflict grievous wounds as the ground cracked, splintered, shattered between them, forming a looming crevasse from which there could be no return. The very foundations of the underworld itself seemed to tremble around them. Charlie's father, the king of hell itself, leered up at him furiously. "Why won't you give up?" He laughed. "Give up on telling me to give up, old man." A headbutt broke his nose, but he didn't budge. "Old?" That's the part you're upset about. Charlie's father was strong, he could admit that much. Stronger than Emily, stronger than Sera, far above Adam. Whatever had landed him down here, he clearly hadn't been slacking. Or maybe he had, and he was simply just this strong after letting himself go. The latter was more likely, if he was being entirely honest with himself. How strong was he in his prime? Scary thought. Exciting thought. Fun thought. And yet. Why are you smiling? Because he beamed back. You're the first person here to make me bleed. His body burned for a fight, to continue the battle and finish what he'd started, to conquer this place. Something stopped him. Charlie would be sad if he hurt her father more than this, wouldn't she? The thought of making her cry more than once. Yeah, that didn't sit right with him. Letting go, he let Lucy stumble past and willfully ignored the opening he left. Tucking all 10 wings in behind him, he sat down, crossed both legs beneath him, and laid his hands on his knees. From there, he pressed his forehead to the ground in what he hoped resembled a classic Digiza position of contrition. I'm sorry! Morningstar scowled at him, still all fire and wrath. What are you playing at? Success. He'd gotten him to pause. Now came the tricky part. Daring to raise his head, he sat back up and smiled. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Lucy shook a fist at him and snarled out a laugh. Oh ho ho, listen pal, the only misunderstanding here is what I'm gonna do to your face with my fist. That was a terrible pun, and you should feel bad. Morningstar scowled. Says Sera's little bitch. Realization dawned. Wait. Did you say Sera? His brow furrowed. I knew it. She tattled on me, didn't she? So what if she did? You still. I didn't hurt your daughter. He snapped back, bringing him up short. Not intentionally, at least. I guarantee you she cried because of Vaggie, not me. And for the record, flinging up a finger, he nearly flipped him off, then thought better of it. I haven't, and am no I ever, nor will I ever be Sera's bitch. If anything, she's afraid of me. I'm down here because I want to be, not the other way around. The king of the underworld paused. You're bullshitting me. Check with your contacts then. He shrugged a shoulder. Shouldn't be hard to find the truth. On a whim, he kept going. And technically you're her bitch for believing her and going after me in the first place. Lucy choked. I'm nobody's bitch. And yet here you are, doing her work for her. He planted his chin against a fist. She wants me gone. Who else but you could do it? His glowing red eyes dimmed, if only momentarily, but the rough tenor in his voice didn't. So you expect me to believe, what, that you came down here by yourself? Yup. And you didn't fall? I still have my halo, my wings aren't red, and no horns, so I would say yeah. He offered him his hand. Look, I really think we got off on the wrong foot here. Let's let bygones be bygones. Water off of duck's back, how's that sound? Ironically, it was the last sentence that finally broke through to the king of the underworld. Did you just make a duck pun? I may have, yes. He bit back a snicker. You know, I used to have this teammate, whose hair was literally shaped like a duck's butt. I used to tease him all the time about it. A snicker followed, and with it, he felt his anger flagging. You're joking. I'm not, he laughed, unable to help himself as he carved out the shape with his hands in a stream of golden light to create a near-perfect likeness of his old friend turned adversary. See? The laughter that followed was hoarse, raspy, genuine. It was also a bridge to forging peace between them. So let me get this straight, you and Sera aren't? Disgust boiled up his throat. Bzzzt. Naruto made a noise, akin to a buzzer, crossed both arms before his face, in the shape of an X, and firmly shook his head for good measure. I can't stand her. Hypocritical bitch. I came down here to see what this place was like by myself. Nobody sent me but Whelmy. I get it now. Morningstar scrutinized him for a long, awful moment. You're new. It all makes sense. Eh? You can tell? You're like me, aren't you? Charlie's father babbled on, excitement overtaking his anger. You've got ideas. Dreams. You want to make things better and you make duck puns. Yes to the first two, coincidence on the third, he supposed. I guess? Morningstar latched on both his hands, grinning toothily from ear to ear. Did we just become best friends? Laughter burst out of him. Mission failed successfully? I think so. Charlie was gonna freak out. Wait. Kurama came staggering up to them, dirty and exhausted, torn shorts clinging to her hips for dear life. What's this? Don't tell me I missed the fight? Naruto scratched the back of his head. Hate to say so, but yeah. No. She rocked up to him with a near-feral hiss, tails thrashing angrily behind her back. I am tired, I am sore, I am dirty, my outfit is ruined. Worse yet, some bastard imp groped me, and I'm still no closer to escaping this foul form. I am owed recompense. Naruto planted a fist on his hip. What do you want me to do about it? Carry me. Excuse me? You're excused. He had an instant to realize what the heck his old comrade was on about before she abandoned all pretenses and outright jumped him. Even with his superior reflexes, he barely managed to catch her, securing one hand beneath her knees, and the other against her back. The moment he did, she used all four tails to drape around his shoulders, effectively latching on like a limpet. Believe it or not, those tails of hers were surprisingly heavy. Don't you dare say it. Say what? He pointedly looked away from the beautiful, nearly naked woman in his arms. I didn't say anything. You were thinking it. She pinched the exposed skin of his chest. I didn't ask to be this. Thick? Not a word from you, Lucy. Stepping up, Morningstar tilted his head. So are the two of you. Are the two of us what? You know. He gestured wildly. Like that? That? Lucy drew out his hands. Thought. Oh. Naruto's bravado died with a ponderous wheeze. Not a chance. I've been dealing with this psycho for years. I'd sooner gargle rocks. Still holding a beautiful woman there, buddy. Kurama sputtered and spat indignantly. It's not my fault, blame this infernal shell of mine. The blonde sighed. It's called a body, Kurama. Nonsense. She slapped his chest with a regal hug. You carried me before, this is no different. He didn't miss the faint flush of pink in her cheeks. As such, you are going to carry me back to the hotel and you're going to help me clean up. A bath is in order, and a hair brushing besides. My tails are ruined. Had she always been this demanding? And what do I get out of this? A tail smacked his forehead. I stopped kicking your sorry ass for one. Bitch, that was a draw at best, and you damn well know it. Perhaps. Perhaps not. We'll need a rematch to decide. Kurama grinned up at him, and against all odds, he found himself returning it. It was too much. His emotions finally got the better of him. Naruto couldn't help himself in the end. He started laughing. Heaven lay in utter disarray. Angels flew hither and yon, babbling madly. Souls scarpered about screaming, demanding to know what was happening. Seraphim questioned one another and found no answers. All the while, the archangels remained silent. Sera had no answers for them. Nor anyone. Instead, she was tasked with taking stock of the damage, clearing the rubble what little hadn't fallen to the underworld below and commencing repairs. At least 3 towers had been damaged by the blast from the underworld, and while there were neither casualties nor injuries to speak of, Creator be praised, the psychological damage proved more severe. People were afraid. Heaven was stable. Heaven should be secure. Heaven had been created as safe haven. Yet now there was a hole in the barrier between realms, one she didn't know how to repair. Worse, Emily refused to leave her room. None could breach the barrier she had erected. She was meant to bring happiness and joy to their people, but in her absence all they felt was anger and fear. What could she do? What should she do? Morningstar was meant to be her solution, instead he made things worse. How had everything been turned against her? When did this suffering become so endless? When had she become estranged? Did she need to change? An awful thought occurred to her as she gazed upon the ruined towers before her. Perhaps, had she just let Uzumaki be, none of this would have happened. Her pride bridled at such thought, prickling at the very notion, yet she couldn't deny it. But to even entertain the notion meant this was that it might be had it must be. She didn't know. No, maybe she did. What if I'm the monster? She whispered to herself. What if I'm in the wrong? What if I'm the problem? Biting her lip, she reached a hand out to the rubble and flinched. Is this my fault? She rejected the notion immediately. No. She wasn't the monster here. Uzumaki. This was his doing, she just knew it. High above her, something in the heavens shifted with a sigh. The pain paused. Adam immediately took a chance to catch his breath and unclench his muscles. It felt like he'd been slowly suffocating for eons now, his torment unceasing. Time had long since ceased to hold any meaning for him. There was only pain. Punishment. That single word burning through him as his soul shuddered and his wings were racked with torment. Yet now, it had ceased. Groaning, he dared to creak an eye open. Make it stop no more, please. Have you learned your lesson, my child? Adam nearly wept. Lesson? What lesson? Was there supposed to be a lesson in all this? It seems not. No matter. Another of my children requires guidance. You will grant it unto her. Do so, and I shall grant you a reprieve. Who the funk are you talking about, you Aragawawarg? More pain, harsher than the last, snatched the breath from his lungs. Language. I speak of Sera. Go to her. Guide her away from the path she walks, before she does something foolish. But what about extermination de Amnit? Lightning lashed his spirit, leaving him curled inward on himself, yowling in pain. Ow! Ouch! Okay. Stop! I get it! I give! What's the message? Blasted big guy burned it into his brain. Lute was gonna be hella pissed, but he'd happily chop off his own arm if it meant getting out of this prison. If that meant playing nice for now, well, it sucked, but anything was better. He'd take probation over this zaps any day, so long as it got him out of here. I find your lack of faith disturbing. Adam felt the looming specter of pain again and yelped, warding both hands before his face. It was a joke. Sheesh. All right, I'll be good. So long as you hold to that, you may awaken, my wayward child, for now. Mind your punishment. Wait, my wa. It was like a spell had been broken, a weight left his soul. Adam thrashed his way awake in bed. Looked down at himself. Frowned in disbelief. What the shit? Vox surveyed the destruction, right eye twitching. An entire city block laid low, the street upended, holes smashed through multiple buildings, the scent of angels and brimstone in the air. Bad enough Alastair had made a fool of him just now and knocked the power out to half the ring, but Thish never seen something like this, not in all his years down here. The stories were all over the place. 2 angels, no, a fox and a demon, and a 10-winged one. None of it made a lick of sense. Was it one of the sins? No way, they were flashier about this. He hadn't heard anything about a turf war either. Folks had seen Morningstar fighting some bastard and his bitch, but nobody knew who. Only a madman would do something like that. Either way, it was a disaster. Yet disasters often brought opportunity, didn't they? He spoke from experience on that front. Couldn't he use this? After all, misery loved company, and misery was his business. His static visage flickered as he considered the ruined rubble. A building collapsed as he looked on. Heh! A toothy grin bloomed across his flat face. All right, wise guy. But his way in on my turf, will he? He had eyes and ears all over the city. He'd find his answers, even if had to bribe the entire ring. Snarling, he turned to face his allies. Valentino Velvet, I want everything we have on this guy and his bitch. Now. Daddy's home. Had he a hat, Naruto would have tugged its brim over his eyes to avert his gaze from the spectacle that followed. Lacking any such implement, and currently carrying Kurama in his arms, he merely rolled his eyes towards the ceiling as Lucy came swaggering into Charlie's hotel like he owned the place. Which, to be fair, he probably did, all things considered. Short bastard owned a ton of real estate down here apparently. Including this hotel. Lucy nope, he refused to call him by his real name, was actually a pretty swell guy, once you got to know him. Sure, he was a little awkward, maybe, somewhat depressed, and with a penchant for all things ducks, but other than that, he seemed all right. Now, however, he strutted about with a dapper spring in his step, cane twirling in one hand, grinning as though he were on top of the world. Where is everybody? He craned his neck, noting the complete and utter lack of, well, anyone. Place is a ghost town, didn't you say there were people here? Vaggie gave him an arch look, but didn't dare disrespect Charlie's father. There usually are. Naruto sighed, his mind elsewhere. He hadn't failed to notice the absence of a certain succubus. Verasika, once more, stubbornly decided to wait at the door. She simply refused to enter the hotel for reasons he couldn't entirely understand. Nothing he said could make her enter, and short of carrying her when his arms were already full, there was simply no way of making her enter. Honestly, it was more than a little vexing. Pretty boy. Without missing a beat, he casually caught Nifty by the scruff of her neck with one of his wings as she leaped from the chandelier. Leaving her dangling there, he fixed her with a flat stare. She grinned at him, lone eye blinking madly. You came back. I thought I wouldn't get to see you again. He chuckled at the mad little monster. Not going to stab me this time? Nope. You're my favorite. Kurama bared her teeth and latched on hard. Mine. Naruto blinked, baffled. Yours? You heard nothing. Naturally, Alastair's mini-minion didn't miss a beat and turned a toothed grin on the kitsune. Oh, you're new. Can I stab you? All 9 of her tails bridled, burning with hellfire. It will be the last thing you ever do. Message received. Nifty, focus. Naruto snapped his fingers before her face, demanding her attention. Where is everyone? She touched a finger to her chin. Wheelio, angel dust is working. Vaggie gagged when Naruto gave her a questioning look. Don't ask. Ignorance is bliss. Also, Husk drank until he blacked out. He's sleeping behind the bar. Ascendi Master went out. The tiny demon clapped her hands. He needed his suit repaired after Pentious ripped off a piece. Lucy quirked a brow. Who? Oh. Nifty vaulted off his wing and latched onto his coat, grinning from ear to ear. Ultimate bad boy. Hashirama, her eye narrowed. You're kinda short. Ha. 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 He knew Morningstar was less than pleased because the little bastard deliberately pronounced each laugh. Would you like to be kinda dead? Nifty gulped. No, please. Naruto exhaled heavily. Lucy, please don't kill the help. Sure thing, best buddy. Dad? Nifty saw her chance, bounced off Lucy and bounded away. Oh, there's Charlie. Time to clean. Vaggie dove behind him. Charlie must have heard the ruckus they were making, because the dazed girl scrambled down the stairs at speed, bless her pure little heart. Naruto rolled his eyes but stood his ground, content to let her have her little reunion like the simple soul she was. He still wasn't quite sure where the whole soul basis spot into things here. After all, she was born down here, child of two incredibly powerful beings, and yet, despite that, or perhaps, in spite of it, she was pure. Like Emily. He missed Emily. It hadn't even been a full day. Kurama poked his chest and coughed pointedly. Right, he was daydreaming again. With one last longing look toward the heavens above and the peace they offered, he turned his gaze back to focus on the matter at hand. Are you even doing here? Charlie was babbling, arms flailing as she broke free from her father's hug. I didn't expect you. You didn't even call. Lucy laughed nervously. Oh, you know, I was in town and thought I'd surprise you. Dayawad. He'd never seen a father blanch so fast. Anyway, he spun about, grabbed him by the wrist, and dragged him in against his side, accidentally reeling Kurama in with him as he did. Meet my new bestie. His daughter balked, utterly out of sorts. Dad, what? Never you mind that. Naruto squirmed free with a huff, reached around behind himself, and heaved. Here. One runaway angel, as ordered. Vaggie scooted forward, arms tucked behind her back, hands clasped. Charlie froze. Vaggie's feet practically grew roots. Hey! Charlie winced, blinked, then noticed something that hadn't been there before. Several somethings, actually. Your eye. Yeah, she turned away, red-faced. I kinda got it back. And you have wings now, too? Were you hiding them somewhere or? There's a story behind that. Kurama rolled her eyes. Such children. Kiss her already. Charlie heard her voice and rounded on her, easily distracted. You got me a guest? Kurama's ears flattened atop her head. Guest? I mean, Charlie talked right over her, energetic as ever. She's been in and out of here a time or two. I think she's friends with Alastair. If looks could kill, she would be ashes in the wind. We are not friends. But she never really stayed here, so, welcome to the hotel? She tried valiantly. Bold of you to assume I need redeeming, child. Naruto coughed into a fist. Aren't we forgetting someone, Charlie turned back to Vaggie. Charlie wilted a little, uncertain of what to say. In the end, she fell back on her tried and true method. Being herself. So, she scuffed a shoe against the floor. I'm sorry I shouted at you. Vaggie diverted her gaze, idly toying with a strand of pale hair. And I'm sorry I lied. Can I touch your wings? Like father, like daughter, he swore. Vaggie facepalmed. Seriously? That's the first thing you ask? Charlie squirmed in place, anxiously wringing her hands. Please, please, please? With a put-upon sigh, Vaggie flared her wings. Fythien. Charlie squealed and promptly began petting them. Woohoo! So soft. Now it was the fallen's turn to squirm. Babe, please, that tickles theory sensitive. Don't care. Must touch. KK. Lucy tapped his cane against the floor. I've seen all I need to see. If anyone needs me, I'll be at the Bardoing bar stuff. Drinking, you mean? Yeah, that. I'm entirely too sober for this. Your bath. Kurama coughed, commanding attention. Where is it? Charlie paused. Oh, we've got one upstairs. With hot water, I trust? Yup. I was gonna take one, but then you guys got back and. Hush, chatterbox. Kurama held up a hand. Considered her for a moment, now. And then, much to Naruto's surprise, she began to pat her head, smiling fondly as she stroked her hair. Be nice to your angel. She means well. Charlie's face went red. Vaggie sputtered. Did you just back me up? Kurama huffed and lifted her chin. I haven't the foggiest idea what you mean. In any case, the bath awaits. Take me there this instant. Naruto resisted the urge to drop her on the off chance that she might actually be hurt. You have legs, you damn dirty fox. Your feet can't possibly hurt that bad. They do indeed, she huffed, kicking her long legs in the air. Hence why you must carry me. That's not you know what, forgot it. He sighed. I'm still not giving you a bath. She quirked a brow. What's wrong? Scared? You cheeky little. Charlie tilted her head with a sigh and palmed her cheek. They're a cute couple. Naruto's resultant shout shook the building. We are not a couple. Kurama levered herself into the bath with a blissful sigh. Submerging herself deeply, she stretched both arms above her head, luxuriating in the warmth of the water. It did fascinating things to her breasts. Naruto did his best to avert his gaze from the latter, but he couldn't ignore the noises she made. A bar of soap whistled his way. He caught it. Glared at her now. Well? She tilted her head, one arm over her bountiful bosom, not quite looking his way. What are you waiting for? He flinched. Why was he hesitating? It was just Kurama. Scared? A muscle jumped in his jaw. He'd never been one to back down from a challenge. Bitch! He began washing her back with gusto. How's this? She squeaked and squirmed, giggling girlishly. Not so rough. My skin is sensitive. You're tickling me. He tweaked one of her ears. You were saying? I'm not sorry. Pinched her now. I'm sorry. That's what I thought. People, and souls as a whole, were squishy. If he wasn't careful with them, they tended to go squish if he wasn't careful. Take Carmine's men, for instance. Kurama, even in this form, was sturdy. We've been together a long while, haven't we? Her voice became oddly soft as he watched her. You aren't the longest host I've had, yet you're undoubtedly my favorite. There was the old man, followed by Mito Uzumaki and your mother after that. But you and we fought like cats and dogs, didn't we? He chuckled. We really did. Oh. She suddenly sounded very small. Was I that bad? Nah. He briefly clasped both hands behind his head to dry them. Sure, you caused trouble for me, but you saved me life a bunch of times too. Idiot. She drew her knees into her chest. If you died, I died. Yet here we are. So we are. It truly is strange, possessing a human shell like this. She took a moment to marvel at one of her hands as he began washing her back anew. I can experience the world as I haven't before, without fear of breaking it with my very presence. Shame it's down here in the underworld, eh? Indeed. Her head bobbed in agreement. What's heaven like? Bright. Noisy, but also kinda peaceful and... There's this girl. Emily. You'd like her, I think. Kurama's ears drooped. He wondered why, but she didn't give him time to. You don't seem to understand, she said. There's another reason I want out of this body. And that would be? You. Me? He squawked unhappily. What did I do? You died. She rounded on him, splashing water in his face, so furious that he couldn't look away. There were tears in her eyes. You died and left me alone in the dark. Her voice hitched. Then I fell down here, got trapped in this infernal shell. I feel emotions so strongly now, and I hate them. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. This is all your fault. Didn't you die too? One of her tails batted his head. It's no fault of mine. This infernal body and its hormones are driving me mad. See you now why I want out of it? Because you're weaker? Precisely. She splashed at the water, furious. I don't feel all that weaker in the physical sense of the word, but that bastard backhanded my Baijudama. Or he could just be that powerful. Or you could be full of shit, ga. She bit her thumb with a curse. See what I mean? It's these emotions. She clutched a hand between her boss, growling under her breath. They weaken me. They ruin me. I detest them. Everything is so amplified, so sensitive. Is it that bad? You don't know what it's like. She hunched over, clutching her shoulders. Being trapped in a body not your own, bombarded by all these strange sensations, to feel desire for the first time in an age. He laughed, not quite comprehending. Well, you were a pretty grouchy bitch before we had our talk. She jerked an elbow back, ribbing him. Please, you only won me over because I allowed you to. Yeah, after I kicked your ass. What was that? She sprang to her feet, shedding water as she went. Naruto clapped a hand over his eyes. Clothes, woman. I am not a woman. Your body says otherwise. Her eyes practically glowed, tails thrashing furiously behind her, scattering beauty products to the floor with a harsh clatter. Careful now, I'm not going above going round two with you, bub. Why are you so eager to fight, eh? Because I'm still pissed at you. She jabbed a finger into his cheek, tweaking it painfully. You left me. The words tore out of her in a shout. How did it feel, living the good life up there while I was trapped down here? He winced despite himself. I didn't know. You should have. She smacked his chest with an angry hiss. The blow stung less than her words. We are partners, you and I. Had the situation been reversed, I would have ruptured reality itself to find you. But you took your sweet time finding me. He chuckled, more than a little chagrined. I am sorry for that, you know. I know. So speaking, she drew back, chest heaving, eyes up, and glared bloody red daggers at him, burying her head in his chest as she grabbed his shoulders. Wow, he whistled, you weren't kidding about being emotional. It's this body. She hiccuped unhappily, whining a little. I feel far from more strongly in this form, and my emotions run amok. It's just, do you love me? Where had that come from? He guffawed, incredulous at the question. What kind of question is that? Of course I do. You're my buddy, my pal, my partner? Well, yeah, that too. He began toweling off her hair as he spoke, trying to distract herself. You've been a part of my life for so long now. I couldn't imagine living it without you. She was trembling. Why? Had he said something wrong? Shrugging, he continued, I really am glad I found you again, you know. At length, the kitsune sighed and batted his hands. Not the answer? I was looking for. Turn around. He did, and in his peripheral vision saw her struggle back into her ill-fitting shorts. Her top was still ruined, so she donned a large fuzzy red bathrobe and clutched it close around herself. You may turn around now. The garment hung over her head, draped over her body like a veil. His throat closed. Sorry? She glowered at him, indignant. Really not used to this body of yours. His heart was beating so damn fast. Naruto? Stop it. He covered his eyes with one hand. Don't look at me like that. She dragged his hand away, forcing him to see her. Like what? His body had enough of her torment. He moved without thinking. In an instant he had her pinned against the wall, one knee between her legs, pushing into her hips. She growled and grabbed his wrist, stomping down on a foot, but made no effort to extricate herself from him. Instead, eyes flitted up to his, then down to his lips. You shouldn't. Don't get attached to me. Not like this, was what she said, but she was leaning into him, twining a leg within his. Damn it. This wasn't lust. He could say that safely. He'd always loved her, but it had been more of a platonic sort of thing, the love one might have for a best friend, a rival-turned-ally, a comrade who fought beside you in battle. It was always a distant, dim feeling, one he'd taken for granted. Until he died. Until Kurama vanished. Until he found his partner again. Now the sight of her like this, trembling against him, looking like that, in that body. He couldn't control himself. He wanted to hold her, to touch her, to chase away all her fears and let her know she was loved, that he'd never leave her alone again. Perhaps she felt something similar, else she would have broken free by now. I really do love you, you know. Her face went red and her ears drooped atop her head. Idiot! Don't say it aloud. But didn't you want me to? Idiot, idiot, utter idiot. Averting her gaze, she mumbled something else under her breath. You, too. He tilted his head. What was that? I said I love you too. She beat against his chest with an angry wail. Happy now? Are you going to keep holding me like this and driving me crazy or? Their lips met. The breach between them closed. Someone moved first. In hindsight, he never knew who. Kurama hummed and drew back with a startled gasp, smacking her lips. As I thought. That was rough. She touched a finger to her mouth, pink in the cheeks, utterly adorable. Like a dry wilderness. You're not very good at kissing, are you? Heat spiked through his face. Oh, shut up, it's not like you have any experience in this either. She laughed a little. I suppose that's true. Say, it's cold out, so maybe one more. No need to say more, he met her halfway, lips covering hers. She buckled against him and dropped the bathrobe, breasts pressing into his chest, flinging her arms around his neck. She held on for dear life as he stepped in and pushed her back into the bath. Water sloshed everywhere but barely noticed. He was too busy hooking his fingers in the waistband of her shorts, dragging them down to expose her hindquarters. She kicked them off with gusto, practically tearing them apart in her haste to free herself, only to gasp as he grasped her rear and drew her close to him. She rumbled against his chest, making a noise vaguely akin to a purr. That feels nice. Very, very nice, yes indeed. She guided his hands to her breasts, allowing him to caress her bountiful mounds, rubbing soapy suds in. Is this what intimacy feels like? A gasp parted her lips as her back arched. Touch me more, please, and stop. He drew back in the water, and she came with him, nuzzling her nose against his. Her face was red, her eyes unable to meet his, whether through shame or desire, he knew not, until quite suddenly they did. She latched onto his face and kissed him furiously, tongue plundering his mouth until she had to breathe. Even then, she barely drew back, nose nuzzling hers as she broke for blessed breath. If having a human body is this pleasurable, I want to experience everything. Kurama licked her lips and dove forward onto him, grinning as she pushed him down into the tub, tearing away his tunic as she went. From there she mounted him with intent, legs spread on either side of him to pin him in place. Her tails wrapped around them, forming a crude blanket of sorts against the porcelain. Again, he didn't notice, because she'd sprawled her body atop his, hands on his chest, nails digging deep. He'd have marks come morning. He didn't care. Neither did she. She mumbled something softly as she went down on him again for another kiss, hips moving against his. Just one more. Another kiss came. One more. A second now. More. Emily lifted her head from her pillow and sniffled once, drying her eyes with the back of her right hand. She had the strangest feeling her position as best girl was being challenged. Nonsense, she wanted to say. And yet the feeling persisted. She didn't like it. Not one bit. Nope. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comment section how was the story. And also don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.